Louisa. If you're writing a memoir manuscript and you want to get published, you need to know about where to begin the story. So part of knowing where to begin the story is understanding that your memoir is a story and it's not a chronicle of your life, okay? So in this video, I want to share the 7 basic plots used in best-selling memoirs. These 7 basic plots are used everywhere from screenplays to advertising to novels and true stories. They're storytelling plots. And when you look closely, you'll start to see them used in songwriting, advertising jingles, and so much more. These are archetypal stories, which means that they apply to people across the world and regardless of class, race, or economic background. If you've watched my video about best-selling topics, which I'll link to, you'll get an understanding of how you can use these basic plots to really narrow down your search for comparative titles and, more importantly, where to begin your story. A big mistake I see with many first-time memoir authors is that they think their memoir is their life story or needs to include everything that happened in the story. This means that you're overwhelmed, you're confused, or you start the story in the wrong spot. And without an understanding of plot and story structure, no one will want to read it and you will not get a book deal, okay? So a quick way to eliminate overwhelm is to make a decision about some comparative titles for your memoir and choose which one of these basic plots you're going to use to structure your story. So I'm going to share with you the 7 basic plots and give you some best-selling memoir examples. But first, what is a plot? Well, put simply, the plot is the sequence or structure of events in a story. Your story will not be a carbon copy fit into one simple plot. It might be a blend of 1 or 2. But the reason that you need to choose 1 or 2 is so that readers and you know where you're going with the story. Okay, so here are the 7 basic plots. Basic plot number 1, overcoming a monster. This is where your story involves the difficult process of fighting a monster, say a person, an idea, an internal enemy, and you come out triumphant, okay? So addiction memoirs like Mary Karr's Lit or Augusten Burroughs' Dry could possibly fall into this plot. Basic plot number 2, Rags to Riches. I love this plot. It's a very archetypal superhero type plot used in cartoons and comics because the heroine or the hero becomes a sort of mythical creature in the elevation from rags to riches, and that's metaphorical. The memoir Homeless to Harvard by Liz Murray, which was also adapted into a film, could be considered using this plot, and made by Stephanie Land. Note that you don't actually have to become rich by the end of this plot, you just need to have that transformation. Basic plot number 3, The Quest. This is one you often see in family memoirs, and I use this for A Letter from Paris. Basically, the hero sets out on a journey and must battle various conflicts and problems on the way to this goal, this quest. The hero's journey is excellent for the quest structure, but you can actually use the hero's journey for any of these 7 plots which I'm talking about today. And it's why I use and I go into the hero's journey in The Art of Memoir so deeply. Tara Westover's Educated follows the quest structure, and I think Dani Shapiro's Inheritance also uses the quest structure. Basic plot number 4, Voyage and Return. This is a good one for travel memoirs. Slightly different to The Quest, this plot structure involves a return to the ordinary world much sooner than with the Quest plot structure. So here you travel out of your normal world into an unknown special world, but you bring that knowledge of the special world home. So Sarah Turnbull's follow-up to Almost French, a memoir called All Good Things, comes to mind for me for using that voyage and return plot structure. I also used this plot structure for my first memoir, Love and Other U-Turns. It's a good one for travel memoirs. Basic plot number 5, comedy. This plot structure involves a lot of chaos and mistakes to really show the journey, and also it needs to also show the narrative arc. It's not just light-hearted quips, okay? There must be a story. I'm reading a really funny memoir at the moment called Paris Match by John von Southen, which uses this structure. I laugh out loud, it's so funny. Now just remember that your memoir won't be just one of these plot structures. So for example, in Paris Match, there's a quite tragic chapter about some terrorism stuff that happened in Paris. So you will combine. Plot structure, basic plot number 6 is tragedy, and this plot does not end in happily ever after. It's very Shakespearean and it often ends in loss. I think many memoirs are a blend, but perhaps Michelle Tom's incredible 10,000 Aftershocks or Ruth Clare's Enemy fall into this tragedy's plot structure. There is always a transformation, but it's not all happily ever after. The last one is basic plot structure number 7 is Rebirth. And this plot is where the hero falls under some kind of spell, like sleep or illness or occult, and it involves breaking free like a phoenix and coming back to life. Holy Cow by Sarah McDonald uses this, as well as the comic plot, and The Kiss by Catherine Harrison, which caused a furore when it came out, uses this plot. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about teaching the hero's journey in depth in the art of memoir is you can use the hero's journey to really dive into any of these 7 basic plots and ensure that you're clearly showing a narrative arc, a personal transformation, and basically all those things that make memoir so powerful, which is that development of you as a character. So if you'd like to know more about the art of memoir, I'll link to some free resources below. I'll also link to the books that I've mentioned. But what about you? Where does your memoir sit? Can you narrow down the story to 1 or 2 of these basic plots? And is that going to help you start the story? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know.